Merry Christmas from the VC Interest Critiquer. I'm sure most of you are aware of the long line of rip-offs and mockbusters Pixar's had over the years, from the painfully obvious to the even more painfully obvious. But Pixar themselves aren't totally blameless either.
Yeah, many creators and fans have noticed some eerie similarities between some of Pixar's most beloved films, some even to the point of lawsuits against Disney. Though, of course, no one is powerful enough to actually win a legal case against Disney, who's got the best lawyers in the biz and a ton of dough, but still. And their most beloved franchise, Toy Story, I'm sad to say, is no exception. Yes, there are some damning similarities there too, but that's not what I'm referring to. Nor that one. No, what I'm actually referring to is a 1986 TV special from Jim Henson called The Christmas Toy. It was never insanely popular, and people today mostly remember it on account of its numerous similarities with Toy Story, but I think those similarities would make a good topic for a mini-review, so let's take a look. The special mainly revolves around the toys of a kid named Andy, Jamie, and her little sibling Molly, Jessie. Not that Jessie. Like in Toy Story, these toys pretend to be lifeless when humans are present, but move and talk when none are around. And our more or less protagonist of the story is the egotistical favorite toy of Jamie, and unofficial leader of the toys, Woody. Rugby Tiger, voiced by Dave Goelz using his Gonzo voice. This character is basically a slightly less asshole-ish and condescending version of Woody from the early Black Friday versions of Toy Story. But please put emphasis on slightly.
You know it's all about you.
That's right, and I want you to know that I don't blame you for being jealous. It would be very hard not to be. What do you mean, we?
Well, I'm a toy too, you know.
But you're a cat toy!
Anyway, Rugby, upon hearing tomorrow is Christmas Day, and he was the big Christmas present last year, tries to get downstairs and get inside one of the boxes for Jamie to open, just like she did last year when she first got him, and once again be Jamie's big Christmas present this year. Apparently thinking her parents are so cheap, they just wrap presents they already bought for their kids and pass them off as new. But the other toys are horrified when they hear this. Why? Well, remember in Toy Story how toys could confront humans like Sid if the situation demanded it? Well, chuck that crap here. In this universe, you get frozen forever if you do that.
Sorry, the number you have dialed is no longer in service.
Hell, the rules are so strict that a toy gets frozen even if a human sees said toy somewhere other than the last place a human saw them, even if they don't move or talk. Hell, even if it's not the same human who saw them in that last place. And Rugby thought going back down was a good idea. Why? Anyway, the rest of the film is some of the other toys trying to get back down to revive Rugby from a stupid pill overdose and help him get back up to the playroom before they're seen, which isn't helped too much by this year's Christmas toy being a space-themed superhero toy that thinks they really are a space-themed superhero named Buzz Lightyear, Meteora, and is making an awful lot of noise that seems to be attracting the attention of the kids' parents. Okay, so is this special worth a look? Or at least something to show your kids? Well, I'd say it's decent, but I wouldn't call it Henson's best work. For one thing, the whole get caught out of position you get frozen forever concept is kinda disturbing. It's confirmed in the special that the toys are actually still conscious when this happens to them, so in other words, they're completely paralyzed for all eternity, a fate some might consider to be even worse than death. Plus, the rules surrounding this are so strict, it just limits the possibilities so damn much. Come on, a toy gets frozen forever even if they're seen by a human somewhere other than the last place another human saw them? Just imagine if the Toy Story films followed this rule. Oh, frozen forever. Oh, frozen forever. Oh, frozen forever. Frozen forever. Frozen forever. Frozen forever. The series would have ended way too quickly. Also, a lot of the songs are pretty saccharine.
You can make the impossible come true. Old friends, dear friends, living in harmony.
Stop singing!
But there are some good ones, like that song they sing to try and shut up Meteora and get her back into her box is pretty catchy.
Share your glory. And be our brightly shining superstar.
And there's another sweet song that I'll talk about a little later. And on another positive note, the characters are fairly likable. Woody's best friend Slink, Mew is a pretty sweet guy. That comically hyper-nervous toy Rex, Belmont is pretty funny. Rugby's a real prick for most of the special, but he develops into a more likable character by the end, especially when he's mourning Mew after he gets seen by Mr. Jones. He comes back to life and stuff, but it's still a sad scene. I'd say the best character of the special is Jessie. Chucky. Apple. But seriously, that toy really is Chucky in a drag. Well, appearance-wise. But like with Jessie, she's the most level-headed toy of the group, but also a little cold because we find she had a sad backstory similar to Jessie, where she used to be Jamie's favorite toy ever, but once Rugby came around last Christmas, she was forgotten and all but abandoned. She even gets a sad song that's no "Would She Love Me," but is still pretty touching.
Yes, they were happy and laughing a lot. Except there was one little thing they forgot.
Meteor also has a lot of the humor of believing a common suburb home is actually an alien planet that made Buzz so funny in the first Toy Story movie.
Reveal the secret of the Cosmotron, Tolden, or your man here will meet the same fate as his comrade.
You dare to touch the Queen? Inhabitants of many planets have died for less.
No, they haven't.
There's even a teddy bear that's basically the act Lotso puts on as a wise, caring old mentor. Except this bear is, well, genuine. Not much can be said about Jamie, she's basically just a girl version of Andy. Though we do get a pretty funny cameo from Kermit at the start where he introduces us to the basic premise of the story. Anything else to admire in this special? Well, the puppet work is pretty good. Not the best from Jim Henson, but it's still pretty impressive. So, my thoughts are, if you want to show this special to your kids or just check it out yourself to satisfy your inner child, there's no harm in it. Sure, there's nothing really that spectacular about it other than its eerie similarities to the Toy Story franchise that would come out years later, but that alone makes it a very interesting watch. And there are still a few things that won't blow you away, but will probably make you bear a sweet smile. It's no Charlie Brown Christmas or Toy Story, but it is a simple, sweet little Christmas treat for the whole family.